Hi guys, I appreciate it's been a while since I last posted, and there's been some personal reasons for that on my end. Now, while I'm typically quite private, I thought I'd take the time to explain what we're going through and what I'm hoping to achieve, even if it may not benefit myself or my family directly. In short, my wife and I found out last month that our unborn child had a genetic disorder that would impact the quality and length of their life. It now seems incredibly unlikely that this child will reach full term, and this is something I've really struggled to come to terms with. In trying to find some peace in all of this, I became increasingly interested in the prospect of storing our child's DNA or tissue. After all, I'm constantly receiving adverts for storing cord blood, so I naturally assumed, or naively assumed, that I'd be able to store the tissue of an unborn child that didn't make full term. Okay, I'm going to start reading from a script now because I'm just not very good at talking to camera. So, why would I want to store our child's DNA or tissue? Well, in recent years, I've become increasingly exposed to developments in gene editing and have even invested in companies like CRISPR Therapeutics. To me, it seems logical that in the future, gene editing interventions will be possible when an unborn child is seen to have a genetic condition, and this will potentially combine things like CRISPR or base editing technologies with IVG. In theory, this could mean that we could bring our child into the world without their life-threatening or life-altering disorder. Of course, what I'm talking about would require scientific breakthroughs, but there are some positive signs. Japanese researchers have silenced chromosomes in one lab study concerning a genetic disorder, while a Chinese scientist who's now in jail edited human DNA before getting doctors to implant genetically modified embryos into 2 women. This actually resulted in 3 children. However, the first problem for me at least is that you cannot store human tissue in the UK, or anywhere else for that matter, for non-licensed purposes. And for storage sake, because that's what I'm talking about at the moment, i.e. non-research purposes, is not permitted. So why have I made this video? Well, I thought change has to start somewhere. I've made a petition that will hopefully see the light of day soon, and the premise is that parents should have at least the choice to store the tissue of babies with genetic disorders that didn't make it to full term. What's more, if I am correct and this technology does become possible within my lifetime and I wasn't able to store my child's genetic material, well, I'll certainly be very upset. After all, it doesn't seem like a huge ask, especially considering that we can store eggs, we can store sperm, and we can store a host of other things, including embryos for IVF, but seemingly not this.